Okay, you know the feeling, right? The diet starts out great, you drop the first few pounds, but then you try to get really lean, we're talking visible abs lean, and you just hit a wall. It feels completely impossible. Well, today, we're going to break down exactly why that happens. And trust me, it's probably not for the reason you think.
Our source for this explainer starts with a pretty intense statement, and it doesn't pull any punches. It's basically saying that the desire to get absolutely shredded often comes from a really deep, really powerful place. And, when your motivation is that strong, failing feels even worse.
So that's the big question, right? If the desire is so strong, where's the disconnect? Why do so many of us fail? It's not about a lack of willpower, it's about a massive error in how we look at the whole journey. We completely misunderstand what we're up against.
And the core idea we really need to wrap our heads around is this thing called the exponential function of difficulty. This is the hidden villain in pretty much every long-term diet.
So what on earth does that mean? Well, it means the difficulty of dieting doesn't go up in a nice, neat, straight line. It's not like day 60 is just twice as hard as day 30. No, it could be 10 times harder. The hunger, the fatigue, it all compounds, it multiplies, until it just feels totally overwhelming.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Our brains are not built to intuitively get how exponential growth works. We just can't naturally feel how that hunger is going to multiply day after day, week after week.
And this chart just shows that disconnect perfectly. Look at the bar on the left. That's what we expect the difficulty to be. We go in thinking, yeah, this will be tough, maybe a 10 out of 100. But the bar on the right, that's the reality after 10 weeks, an actual difficulty of 85. That massive gap between our expectation and reality is exactly where diets go to die. We think we're weak, but the truth is we just completely misjudged how steep the climb was going to be.
So as that difficulty starts to skyrocket, we often reach for something that seems like a good idea, but is actually a total trap. Let's talk about what our source calls protein slop.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the protein bars that are basically candy bars in disguise, the keto cookies, the high-protein cereals. The packaging is screaming healthy, but these things are scientifically engineered to be hyper-palatable. And that's just a fancy way of saying they are so ridiculously delicious and easy to eat that they just blow right past your body's "I'm full" signals, and they actually make you crave even more.
And this is the real difference. On the left, you've got the protein slop. It gives you almost zero satiety. I mean, you can down it in 10 seconds, and it can literally make you hungrier. The solution, over on the right, is high-volume foods. Think about a massive salad. It takes up actual space in your stomach. You have to chew it, and it sends a real signal to your brain that says, hey, we're full now.
This brings us to a super practical tool, the protein matrix. Try thinking about your food choices this way. Down in the bottom left, that's the trap. Stuff that's tasty and super easy to binge on. That's your protein slop. Your goal, your sweet spot, is the top right corner. Food that is tasty enough that you actually enjoy eating it, but it's physically hard to overeat. For you, that might be grilled chicken or seasoned fish. The point isn't to eat boring food, it's to find what lives in that top right corner for you.
Okay, so you've learned to avoid the protein slop trap. What's next? Well, when that exponential difficulty really starts to kick in, you need more than just the basics. You need an advanced toolkit. So here are 3 tools you can pull out when the diet gets seriously tough.
First up, and look, this is absolutely non-negotiable if you want to get shredded. You have to track what you eat. When your calorie budget is tiny and your hunger is through the roof, guessing is just a one-way ticket to failure.
And this quote just says it all. The second you stop tracking, it's way too easy for a little extra oil here, a handful of nuts there, to completely wipe out an entire week of progress, and you won't even realize it's happening. That awareness is your #1 defense.
All right, tool number 2 sounds a little weird. Eat your water. And no, I don't mean chewing on ice cubes. I mean using the water content that's already inside your food to make you feel full.
Because let's be real, when you're deep into a diet, that old advice to just drink some water feels like a bad joke. Water leaves your stomach in like 10 minutes. It does not fill the void. But solid food that's packed with water, that actually works.
So what does that actually look like? Well, think of a huge bowl of cantaloupe. It's 90% water, but it's solid and it's filling. Potatoes, pretty much all vegetables, thick soups, they all work the same way. The source even mentions a crazy hack, making this giant bowl of oat soup by just adding more and more water to your oatmeal and protein powder. It sounds weird, but it can fill you up for hours on almost no calories.
And the third tool is all about psychology.
If you're going to make it to the finish line, you have to find a way to stop thinking about food 24/7. And that means you have to actively change your environment and your daily routines.
So the plan here is 3 parts. First, distraction. Get so busy with your work or your hobbies that you forget to be hungry. Second, your environment. It's simple. If the junk food isn't in your house, you can't eat it. And third, structure. This one's huge. The source suggests that every single time you eat, it opens a gate of hunger. By sticking to just 3 or 4 scheduled meals, you're opening that gate way less often, which gives you fewer chances to lose control.
Now, all of these tools really lead us to the final and honestly, the most important part of this whole puzzle. And it's not just some nice little virtue. Patience is the literal physical mechanism that actually produces the results you want.
And this is the craziest paradox of all. In almost every other area of life, obsession is what leads to success, right? You obsess over your work to get a promotion. But with dieting, obsessing over food just cranks up the volume on your hunger and makes your cravings go wild. It is one of the very few things where obsessing less is the actual key to winning.
The solution, then, is to make the whole process as boring and automatic as possible. It's a simple loop. Wake up, weigh yourself, hit your calories and protein, work out, go to sleep, and then just repeat. This isn't about finding the perfect magic meal. It's about executing a simple plan so consistently that it becomes second nature and then just letting patience do all the heavy lifting.
This is how you get through those moments of insane hunger. When your willpower's at absolute zero, the last thing you want is to be making a bunch of complicated decisions about what to eat. You want the path to be simple, clear, and totally automatic.
And in the end, it all comes back to this one simple truth. You don't fail because the diet is truly impossible. You fail because you run out of patience. You think the results aren't happening fast enough, or you get sucked in by a shortcut, like that protein slop, that ends up being your undoing.
So, we'll leave you with this to chew on. In a world that's constantly screaming at us to hustle harder and obsess over our goals, what if the real key to getting extreme results is the exact opposite? What if it's not about more intensity, but actually less? A radical commitment to simplicity and just being patient might be the most powerful tool you have.